Hello and welcome to the Gooners Podcast, live from O'Hanlon's Pub in New York City. We have 3 fans who are clapping for us very loudly. Thank you very much. And we are excited that this first experimental podcast is taking place after a very, very good result. But I'm feeling a little empty. A little shout out for my my co-host, my podcast brother. Andy is sitting in Denver because he's too cheap to come out here to do this. But I will soldier on because I have 2 titans of the podcasting industry with me. 2 men, one who can't even bother to get on screen, of the highest order. Collectively, they're known as the Dossier Brothers, Kings of the Feeder League, Jaka Incorporated. We have with us Drew Thompson and Tom Canton from the Gooner Talk TV. Everybody, welcome Tom and Drew.
Hello.
So Tom, you're here in New York for the first time.
Yes.
I'm a little angry with you because you told me that you were expecting 1,000 of your fans to travel over for this. And we know how many fans you have.
6.
But that hasn't happened. How you liking New York so far, buddy?
No, it's great. Yeah, New York is mad. I mean, I was talking to the other half about the things that we like and dislike. I hate the subway so much.
And didn't I warn you about it?
So much.
Yeah.
You're a real New Yorker now.
It's ridiculous. And tipping and tax is the newest trend I've come to learn about. Although I did try to tip $40 yesterday when we had dinner.
This guy, he puts the $20 tip on the credit card receipt and then also leaves $20 in cash. He thought the credit card receipt was just to indicate how much he was planning on tipping in cash, but no. So I saved him $20, which I'll collect that later. And and Tom's lovely girlfriend Georgia is with us today, and today's apparently Tom's day to do whatever he wants. Tomorrow is hers. So
every day, every other day.
Are you going to Mean Girls or are you not?
She lost the tickets to Mean Girls.
And you're gonna try on makeup and all that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Drew has joined us a few times on the podcast, and never once have we ever been able to see his face. So I was starting to believe he didn't actually have one. But look at the
how tempted I was to take my laptop and put it in the corner and just be on like my.
Look at the little punum on this guy. It's adorable. All right, so after this podcast, he's going to be getting modeling contracts AF. But thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, as usual.
And a quick thank you to the people that made this podcast possible. Jess Young, the head of the Arsenal NYC Supporters Club. O'Hanlon's for hosting us and making this possible. Shout out to my man Sebi, who couldn't be here today, but a.k.a. Bulb Guendouzi, who's the unpaid intern of the podcast because he makes some of the funniest memes and Photoshops I've ever seen. And then, of course, the lovely and amazing and talented Cristiano, who everybody here at O'Hanlon loves. Cristiano.
That's my song.
Helped us with all of
Cristiano is the best. Cristiano is the best.
That's a great song.
He's also very humble.
Yes. He wrote that song himself. Just want to give a shout out to people in the chat. We see Danny in there. Andy Rhodes, who's that guy? I don't know that guy. Let us know in the chat if we're coming through, if you can hear us. This is certainly something we've never done before from a technical standpoint. So let us know if it's sounding all right. Carrie McCollum's in there. So one quick notice, we are up for the Football Blogging Awards award for Best International Content. And it's getting to be the final stages of voting. So if you can just go to votegooners.us, do it right now. If you have Twitter, that'll create a tweet for you. Otherwise, you can go to the footballbloggingawards.co.uk and vote for us. Also give a vote to Gandermonium for the best non-league blog and Same Old Arsenal Podcast for best podcast. Which award are you up for?
You massive prick.
I saw like one tweet from you asking for votes, and then like
one. It was
that
was it. Yeah, as soon as I put one out,
that's the follow through that we have from Tom.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about this game. After last Saturday or Sunday against Everton, the fan base getting a little impatient. It's this home versus away thing, but as we know, we do play better at home. We're about to see Tom eat a corn dog for the first time on air. It's actually half of a corn dog. So I guess I'll go to Drew first. The lineup was pretty attacking, pretty straightforward.
But I think it needed to be. Napoli at home are a different animal, and you and I went for it. You have Lacazette, Aubameyang, Ozil, Ramsey, and Sam 11. It had to be. We could have won 3-4-0 today, right? A couple of pinch. Ramsey at the end, plays over the bar. It's difficult, but you have to give yourself the best chance going away in the second leg. Give yourself a chance to go through, and it seems like Unai, despite the fact that we're in the race for top 4, he wants to target this as well. Think of the fan base, think of the team, to give something to base off of it. If he gets silverware in his first season, he's done his job, hasn't he? It raises expectations for what he wants to set and for what we all thought it was going to be. I like the way he attacked it. Seeing Torreira back made a gigantic difference. I think we can all agree. Again, this is kind of what you want to see from him more often in terms of putting your best players in the system and in the formation and an approach that really suits them and let them have them go and just trusting them in the defense, and that really worked out all overall.
Absolutely. And Tom, how is the corn dog? I mean, the first question.
The corn dog is immense. That was one of the greatest things I've ever tasted. No, it was all right. Yeah, it was decent for what it was. Exactly what I expected it to be.
And the lineup, was the lineup exactly what you expected it to be?
No, he actually went with a much more attacking lineup than I thought he would. Seeing Ozil start was great. I'm sure Drew was crying in emotionless tears for seeing Ozil start, of course. But yeah, no, I was happy with it, and it clearly paid off. We said before the game, either it would go one of two ways. Want it to be a fantastic win, go all out, try and score goals, which we did, or it would be absolutely awful, which is clearly what's happening outside right now.
So, welcome to the area.
It was only a matter of time before we were arrested for this show, and it's happening now. But
yeah, no, it was great. I think the lineup was spot on. Ramsey and Torreira should have been the midfield pivot from the start. We've seen how successful that's been. Without Xhaka, I think we've lacked a bit of consistency and solidity, but moving past that now, Ramsey has been fantastic, and his goal was great as well.
Beautiful. And let's talk about the first goal. Just a beautiful run of play, that fluid Arsenal that we just haven't been seeing away from home this season. An amazing team goal. Nice to see Mainsley get involved. But Drew, you want to walk us through your experience watching us score a goal of that quality?
Well, I think it's normal for us now, especially, Ramsey's he makes those late runs into the zone. He makes himself available. Usually, from the penalty spot, further back, he's always finding that space. Someone will find Aaron Ramsey bring those runs. I think so. We were talking about at the bar during the match that people are going to miss that from him. That additional goal scoring presence, just that persona that he brings into the team, the goals that he adds.
We're getting questions about the bell. I'm waiting for an opportunity. Don't worry, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting.
But
don't rush these things. You can't rush them.
All things considered, I think it was a typical Ramsey goal. I think it's what you expected from him, especially given the lineup that we had as well. Someone was going to find out today. It's what we needed, and it hits home because he's turned up in a lot of big matches for us recently, and I think it's put into perspective for a lot of the supporters that we're generally going to miss Aaron Ramsey. Whether you're thinking he was an Arsenal legend or an Arsenal icon, or maybe just below the icon tier or cult hero, if you will, he's always delivered. And I think today is another example of that. He does turn up when we need goals from him, especially from midfield. Sometimes we lack goals in that area. Torreira's not a big goal scorer. Xhaka will chip in one or two bangers from 30 yards out, but he's not a big goal scorer. Ramsey will come through, and I think it's fitting that he scored the opening goal and really set us forward, moving forward for the match.
Speaking of Torreira not being a big goal scorer, we had a little bit of a debate here, and I actually don't know the answer to this as far as official scoring is concerned, but I'm saying Torreira gets that second goal.
Oh no!
I know that the keeper obviously had it covered, and I know that without the deflection it would not have been a goal, but that's, to my understanding, not the point. The point is whether the shot was on frame or not, and I think we're going to be checking that to see whether that was credited as Koulibaly's first goal at the Emirates of many, or whether it was a goal from Torreira. But Let's hear your ridiculous approach on it.
So the rule. Now, just to explain this, the rules.
Englishman explaining the rules of football.
Says rules 3 times in 10 seconds. Well, just a random
The rules states that if the shot is off target and then is redirected by an opponent, it's therefore an own goal, which is what happened.
How do you know it was off target?
Well, because you could see it from the replay.
Oh, you used your eyes.
I used my eyes that I was born with, yeah. Yes. So therefore, the shot was off target. And don't get me wrong, I'm just equally as happy as if Torreira had actually scored it. But it is an own goal. Stickler for the rules. But yes.
Do own goals count for half of a goal? Like
half of a goal.
For half of a goal?
No.
In the two-legged? Okay.
No.
So we're all right then.
Yes.
So the first half could not have gone better. Honestly, this game could have been 3-2 Napoli at half. They had some chances that they did not take. We did fairly well of taking our chances in the first half. But to not allow a goal, to get through the 90-plus minutes of the game without conceding an away goal to Napoli is enormous going into the next level. I don't know that we can keep Napoli from scoring once or twice at home, but if we can nab one there, they've got to get 4. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's
if they score, they have to get scored for. No. It's Drew's turn. So
I'm trying to go back. Tom's already.
I've broken the seal.
Broken the seal. So let's talk about man of the match. I mean, the game, obviously was exciting. We usually do talk about the game a little bit more, but it really just was a job done. I don't know that you could identify any one or two particular people that were far and above ahead of everyone or far and above behind everyone. But other than Mesut Ozil, who's the obvious answer for you, who would you say was the man of the match for today?
I think I would agree. And we were talking about this at halftime, weren't we? That Unai Emery's team was at Valencia and at Sevilla. It was more about consummate team performance. It wasn't about necessarily having those 1 or 2 standout players who would go above and beyond. It was more about the team putting in the shift that was required, the work rate, the effort. I think you kind of saw more of that today, and I think that's what he's aiming for. And if he can get that moving into next season, then people's opinions about it might change. You've got a lot of people now talking about, is Unai Emery the right man? And no matter where you fall on that debate, I feel like this is kind of what you get with him. Everyone's putting in their shift. Everyone's sort of, they're solid in their roles. They understand what their tasks are on a daily end. That might morph depending on who you're playing, but I don't think you can pick out one player. I thought everyone went about their job on the best of the day. But someone like Kenny, who hopefully is watching, really adore you. So Kenny always talks about the club as the star. You don't want to single out individuals for special treatment depending on what they put in.
But isn't that exactly what the man of the match is, though? Like forcing you to single out an individual?
But you don't have to.
So you're refusing to do it?
You can, yes. I am refusing because you actually did it.
Oh, my God.
I think you can pick one. If I had to pick one, I would say Torreira, because he brought more of what we wanted in midfield than what we've seen lately. But I think across the board, everyone put their weight on it. I hate you.
You don't put it to your mouth.
I know. I don't like microphones. It is what it is. So, I just one of those things.
Doesn't like microphones. He's got 2 in front of him, though, right now.
Well, we just need 1. If people are asking, why are there 2? 1.
It's so that people here can hear us.
I want to hear you speak.
Fair enough. But no, I do think that if I pick one as Torreira, if I did have to pick one, I think the team performed where you expected it, especially.
Man of the match. What you missed while you were urinating.
Yes,
that's what they call it over here.
It's so discreet.
What you missed was Drew refusing to answer my question until I physically forced him to do that, which is to name a man of the match for today. Ultimately, I went with Torreira. I tend to agree with that. Just maybe split between his play on the pitch and just the comfort that the team showed by having him back there. It shows that they're a much more confident squad. But if you had to pin it on somebody, who would you give man of the match to?
Yeah, no, I think Torreira is probably the right choice. I think there was definitely a lot of candidates for that decision. I thought Socrates had a decent game at the back as well. I think actually, to be honest, we've looked a lot more solid when he's in the lineup. I mean, Drew might have you believe that he's an awful defender.
I never said that. Ever.
But no, I think he's definitely improved us defensively. And Torreira, I mean, threefold. Without him in the side, as we've seen with the suspension, we've really suffered in that midfield. And we've lacked industrialisation. We've lacked absolutely everything from that.
There we go.
That's not a British term.
No, it's full of industry.
Industrialisation.
No one says full of industry over here, so we have to go with it.
But no, I think he's been excellent in the midfield. He won the ball back. It was the reason why he scored the goal that he did. Well, I say the goal he scored. I mean the goal that Koulibaly excellently deflected into his own net, score an own goal. But yeah, no, Torreira, I think, is your highlight. I mean, you answered your own question effectively.
Well, I do that a lot because my answer is always going to be the right one.
But yeah, no, Torreira.
We've got Mike Hernandez in the chat saying Torreira, Kerry McCollum agreeing. We've got this Andy character saying their keeper was the man of the match. And we have Oscar asking if we can get a third microphone. Are you guys on the podcast? Or are you just so
we just had a rocky.
Take a quick break. These two have been Dossier brothers.
For
they've been
4 years.
Theater brothers.
4. It's not 4. ABW.
Yeah,
it's 4. Yeah.
These guys have been rocking it together for they met for the very first time today, and the moment where the eyes met, I mean, we have a video of this. It's a very special, heartwarming moment with the hug and they grabbed each other's penises.
And he realized I was taller than him, and that happened.
It was absolutely insane. I'm just honored to be here for it. And then about half an hour later, the moment where Drew spilled beer all over Tom's shirt, it happened again, Tom. Did it happen again?
Can we just bring some context to the story for the people that don't know this?
Because this dude started.
Yes, exactly. And Mike is the guy that started. So in London, what game was it? Was it the Watford game? I think it was the Watford
game. It was the Watford.
When Czech brilliantly saved that Troy Deeney penalty. So we're at. The fact about this story is that you claim that it wasn't your fault.
It wasn't. Everyone knows it was Tom Rosenhammer's fault.
The bottom line is that a full pint, was spilled over my brand new Arsenal shirt, of which, I mean, you were fairly half cut at the time. Is probably half cut. There you go. Half cut.
That was so British. I'd never even heard of it before.
And you offered to buy me a completely new Arsenal shirt from the Finsbury Park.
I did.
Shop.
I didn't mean that though. I didn't actually think you'd go
you
do
did
it
at the time.
Well.
You were that half cut that you would have at the time.
Probably. So. I felt a little bad. And Kev Campbell was standing right next to us, and I was just thankful that the beer didn't go on him. I was very thankful that it went on you.
But you say it's not your fault?
It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
Why?
Because I was hit. It was like a deflection, kind of like Koulibaly. Like I was going off target, and then Tom Rosenhammer hits me. And the beer goes directly on target, which is to your shirt.
Yeah.
So anyway, today.
But then today,
I was happy. Beer spilled,
and you shook it like it was
only 10%.
10%.
Minuscule compared to the.
You're making a percentage of the drink you spilled over.
He'd be proud.
Yeah, we're working you into not having a drink spilled on you gradually. It's a process though. It just doesn't happen overnight. So not. To kind of put to put a bow on the game, it's a very effective outcome. Could it have been 3, 4, 5? I mean, Ramsey doesn't miss opportunities like that very much, but given how many point blank opportunities Napoli missed during the game, I almost feel like it was karma. So 2-0 is about the right result, and we go next week on a little short break because we do play Monday night at Watford in the Cojones match, but we have to then get on a flight to Napoli. Well, we don't, but the team does get on a flight to Napoli and deal with those brutal people. Would I have liked one more in a perfect world so that we could really just put them away with one away goal? Absolutely, but beggars can't be choosers right now.
You score one now. You have to score 4.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
We
just one goal.
We just took care of business against one of the best, one of the top 8 to 10 teams in Europe, I would say, and that's what really matters. So, great game. A couple things to talk about other than the game. Let's tackle this home and away thing because, watching the game on Sunday, watching all of our away performances in the last 6 months or so, it's really hard not to notice a continuation of a trend that has been happening for the last few years, where, you know, at home we look dangerous, we look like we're up for it, we look like we're going for it, and then away, both our setup, our approach, and the action on the field, or on the pitch, I should say, just doesn't match, and I don't really understand it. What's your theory as to, you know, I mean, is it? I mean, are we drugged? Or is it? Are we? You know, there's lasagna.
That escalated quickly.
Do we just not like people booing, and then we just can't handle it? I mean, what is the situation? Because today, if we played like we did today against Everton on Sunday, we would have spanked it.
For me, I feel like when you had Wenger, we had the same problem in his final year or two of the club. We got thrashed away. You know, United away, we've seen Chelsea City away. It's not going well, and I think that was Wenger's excuse. He just didn't want to get battered, so we set up to make sure that we wouldn't concede as easily. And to give us a chance to score. I think Unai as well, you'll know this better than anybody. His final season at Sevilla, he didn't win a single away match. I think, for me, I think it sort of almost plays into it. He's just so afraid to open himself up away from home, to give the opportunity for the home side to, you know, craft scoring chances.
But I mean, against just average sides.
But Everton aren't that. They're average in terms of their standing at the table. Their ability on the pitch is better than where they are.
Yeah.
If they had better investment, if they had maybe a better manager, I think they'd be better off than where they are. And I feel like, but I do agree that when we go away to Brighton and put it in an abject performance, things like that, that's when you question it.
It's diabolical, in fact. Absolutely diabolical.
So for me, I feel like I think he's just afraid for us to go away and be awful. But when you're away from home, when you set yourself away from home to not concede, you often concede and then don't create enough of the other end, and that's the problem. You got to find that balance. You want to be solid enough defensively without the ball, but you want to have enough about you to go out in the match. But no one look at the team against Everton and think that we couldn't score a goal away at Everton. You had Obawaka, Ozil, you know, Mkhitaryan, Ramsey in the same team.
But outside the first 5 minutes, we really never looked like threatening.
But that's the thing. So that's at that point, it's not, the question is it the players? Is it the setup? Is it the manager? Is it the instructions? Laka came out in the press conference and said we didn't play how Unai wanted us to play.
I like that he did that. That was.
But then you have to also ask: was he being honest, or was he deflecting the attention away from the manager? Because this is his first season, we don't know that because we're not in the dressing room, but. You've got to ask, moving forward, if Unai isn't here next year, I think he will be.
Oh,
he will be, obviously.
Of course he will be.
Right.
Better be.
But some people think he won't be, but let's get rid of that now. He'll be
Those
here next
people
year.
are called stupid people.
Correct. But you have to.
They have a name for them.
The hallmark of his term next season is he has to set us up in a way away from home where we have a better chance of being more consistent. Because right now, our away form is 10th in the league. We're at negative goal difference. That's not where you really look at title challenges. Away from home, they're almost as hard as to beat us when they're at home. And that's where we're struggling right now. So,
yeah, I mean, Tom, who do we blame? Because, you know, you have to blame somebody all the time.
You're the worst.
Honestly, though, is it players that we have to cycle out through transfers and through departures to just have a different attitude away from home, or can this core of the team under Unai Emery just change their approach next season and start to win more games away from home? I mean, is it down to the coaching or is it down to the players? And don't say both. It has to be one of the other.
It's both.
It's a lot, didn't you?
No, I think it's 90% the players, because I mean you look at what happened last season under the previous manager, because we can't say his name, otherwise I have to put $1 in the tin on our show, which is the Gooner Talk, by the way. You can check it out.
Oh my god!
You just put your big head in front of me.
But no, it's the players, because it's a massive confidence issue. It really is. They need the backing of 60,000 fans. You say the police report says 60,000 fans. The 55-ish thousand fans that go to the game They need that confidence. They need that backing, the cheering, the support. And away games, they can't deal with the fact that they don't have that backing. And without that backing, you see performances like you did against Everton. You see the performances like you did against Southampton and Brighton. These are the types of performances you see with a team that are lacking in complete personal backing, and they don't have that from themselves. So, is it the manager's fault? You could argue, yes. You could say that he hasn't turned it around since what happened last season. But it's a guy who's not managed in this league before. He's not managed with these players before. And it's going to take more than just a single season to turn that around. So, yeah, I stick with my 90-10. 90% of the players, 10% the manager, maybe interjection.
I'll allow that. You can have that.
Okay,
at least it's not 50-50. So yes, you're correct. Well, it's got to change because we're going to be a 4th, 5th, or 6th place team pretty much every single season if we can't win games away from home more than a mid-table team. So, read a good article by this dude who calls himself Lee Gunner's favorite fan. Drew, it's your boy Nate. I'm getting those two together for a hug it out.
He's not that far. He's
sometime
near
soon.
Foxborough. He's 3 hours away.
Yeah. So we had Nate on a couple months ago during the transfer window, and he wrote a piece for You Are My Arsenal, which we'll give a plug to. Drew, you're involved with that as well.
Indeed.
About our summer financial freedoms, and he's written another one this week. We've seen some clickbait merchants, John Cross, tell us that we have $40 million to spend in the summer, and I've said over and over again on the podcast, I'm going to change my microphone technique because I'm getting a lot of comments on it. But
there it is.
We have what's been said.
Kind of look like Jonathan Todd. That's the first.
I look like Laporte.
John,
You do though. They put
Holy
Laporte.
shit.
Laporte.
Oh, boy. Well, there it is.
You have no idea who he's talking about.
You have 2 center backs sitting right here. There you go.
Thank you to Rahma Mohamedador. Sorry, I watched that in the chat for those comments. I don't want you to tell me who I look like because I've already been called overweight Usmanov. As though he wasn't overweight enough.
Shlomo, the tax man.
Shlomo, the tax man that says Jesus Christ. So,
not Yahweh.
His article, of course, was more about the freedom that we expect to have this summer with new commercial deals, with God, please allow it to be the Champions League money coming in, and. These guys are just reading the chat and going crazy. But our budget is more about wages and contract length than it is about X amount of dollars to spend over the summer. Now, you've read the article, I hope.
Yes, I have indeed read it twice.
It seems as though we should have
the
financial backing to get some things done this summer. The question is, will we? Because, the club likes to cry poor even when we're not.
It's all right. I don't think the club cries poor, although they kind of do. I think it's more. Just listen, hear me out.
Yes, they do.
But they don't. Exactly what they do. They don't intentionally do
I don't
it.
think my name
Just
is
listen.
Mike, although kind of it is.
Go back over that sentence you just said. I don't think the club cries poor.
They don't intentionally.
That's what they did.
They don't intentionally cry poor. The fact is,
I don't intentionally eat 10 times a day.
Yes, you do. First of all, yes, you do. So that's the first. But the second thing is the club clearly wants to have that sustainable model. It's clear that we're not going to get additional investment from Stan for whatever reason that may be. That's all conjecture. We don't know. Stan's not sitting here fucking telling us.
Well, there's nothing he can invest in, really. I mean,
all his investments buried in LA for start.
We have the cash reserves already that are there.
So I think
it's a matter of whether we spend
I don't
that.
think he has to. But for me, I just feel like, first of all, there's no guarantee that we're going to bin 200, 300K off the wage bill. We don't know who we're selling this summer. That's the first thing. We know who comes up on the end of their deals. That's the guarantee, as long as we don't re-up them, which we haven't by now. So we don't know yet. But for me, I feel like the club, because we genuinely can't compete with the likes of City, Liverpool, who are spending more and more each year. You have United, who throw God knows how much money at the fucking market every season. For me, I feel like we're going to go after more of that Torreira-type signings, the 30 to 40 million bracket, where we know we can dominate that part of the market because you've got City and Liverpool. And you're not looking at that 50, 60, 70 million part of the market that we know we can't afford. So if you can go out on the market and find 3 or 4 Torreas in their positions in the summer, is that not good business? So you have Julian Brandt has rumored a £25 million release clause. Would you not go out and get Julian Brandt right now for £25 million?
I don't know. I have to read the dossier that you make.
I'll make sure you get
Brandt is.
Yes, I am aware. I am aware
so
of the
for
name.
$25
Does he
million.
play for Schalke? Maybe.
No.
Yeah, I'm an Arsenal supporter, by the way. I care only about Arsenal. So
Fair, but we're intelligent beings, so we care about everything.
Yeah, exactly. When he plays for Tottenham.
So that's the kind of player.
Again, walk right into it. But if you look at, I think we're going to go after the players who haven't hit their peak in the market where clubs realize that, holy shit, they're really good. They're going to be worth 3 times what they're actually worth now. Because if Torreira stayed at Sampdoria and had this kind of season for the next 2, he'd go for twice what we paid for him. Would he not? 50, 60 million.
Yeah.
In theory.
Yeah.
He might have gone for a lot more if the deal hadn't been struck before the World Cup last season.
Right.
His price would have
We got him for 30 million at the max. And he could have gone for 45, 50 million. So and whether if that was a Sven signing or not, you could postulate because we also got Guendouzi, and that's absolutely a Sven signing because it mirrors.
We just know that they're not Monchi signings. That's what.
Correct. So I feel like the club's wheelhouse should be
fuck Monchi.
the club's wheelhouse needs to be a section of the market where we know that the clubs that those players are currently at, we're a massive step up, but we can't compete with the bigger boys because we're not offering regular Champions League. We can't go out and spend 70, 80 million pounds on a player because A, we don't want to, and B, we really can't afford it because those kind of players demand £250,000 a week. And I think we want to sort of trim the budget down to where it's at a reasonable level every year rather than skirting on the line where we're at right now, and that affords that we can't do business in January if we ever need to.
So that brings up an interesting question because we're talking about up and coming players to buy just before they really hit the big time. But there's another dynamic that's likely to happen, and we saw it happen maybe 5 or 6 years ago, kind of surrounding the time that Mesut Ozil arrived. And that is a reloading of a Galactico team in a particular league that you're fond of, Tom. The Feeder League, where Real Madrid apparently this summer will be adding Eden Hazard, David De Gea, Christian Eriksen, Mauricio Pochettino just as a ball boy, Harry Kane, and every top defender. And all of a sudden, you're going to see some of their current players become surplus to requirements. And does an Isco fall into your lap type of situation? And I'll hand it over to the expert on that.
La Liga is not a feeder league.
It technically is a feeder league. I'm here to say that it is a feeder league.
So your question effectively is asking me, is La Liga the best league in the world?
No, it actually had nothing to do with that. It had to do with is there fallout from Real Madrid trying to basically transfers. Buy everybody in the world?
Well, I mean, there's always fallout from any merry-go-round of any transfer. I mean, you look at the Gareth Bale sale that eventually ended with us getting Ozil. Yes, with every transfer, there's always an opportunity to be made elsewhere because as soon as a player is lost, another player needs to be brought in for that team that's replaced them, and then that team has to replace that player. So if Christian Eriksen leaves Spurs, they need to replace him with someone else because I hate to say it, but he's a very good player. And then if you have Chelsea losing Eden Hazard, the difference is that Chelsea can't bring in anyone else because they have a transfer ban.
And Christian Pulisic is going to end up suffering the weight of great expectations.
He's not, and I mean, Drew will probably concur with this. They overpaid. And I mean, I'm
100%.
I'm currently sitting.
There's a reason why he's not starting weekend.
Currently sitting. Simple as that. Yeah. Currently sitting in a New York pub saying that their best American player is slightly overrated.
But you have to be realistic about things, though. He is a very good player, but he's not ready yet.
No, he's not ready. He's very young, and he's got the whole weight of 600 million people on him. Yeah. Right. So, but he would. He will. I say would. He will come good. I reckon he will.
But he'll never be Hazard level. So it's a matter of what level he'll get to.
Because Hazard is arguably top 5 players in the world. So that's how it is. But they will need to replace someone. They've got Hudson-Odoi who can come in as well. But Arsenal need to be focusing on the areas. I don't think Arsenal need to worry about who Real Madrid are buying, who Barcelona are buying and selling, or whatever. I mean, the amount of people that tweeted me after De Ligt is getting linked with Barcelona, we should be bringing them Titi. There's no. Umtiti is staying at Barcelona.
I'm so horny now. You just said delict and Umtiti in the same sentence, and I'm supposed to just sit here and
there's children watching this.
The Ziegler family is the only family watching this right now. But
no. Like, Arsenal need to worry about themselves. We know the areas we need to improve in. It's the defence. Arguably, the midfield, maybe a winger. I mean, from the evidence and what we saw in January with Perisic being linked as well, clearly we need a winger, according to our higher management, whatever you want to call them. But defence is the area we need to worry about. There's no merry-go-rounds going on with those players, and Titi is staying at Barcelona. You don't need to worry about that. We need to be looking at other players, and I mean, I've talked on the Gooner Talk about loads of players. You were giving me quote-unquote banter about Fernando Calero. Yes, I do. About Fernando Calero.
Well, no, I've got nothing negative to say about him. I don't know anything about him. It just seems weird that we wouldn't have
Meaning
taken
that you
the
never
chance
read my article.
I did read the article. In fact, I gave you a grammatical correction on the article.
Did you?
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact. So
okay. This mic isn't working, by the way.
I read everything that you do. But when you turn the mic off, it's not working.
Okay, it's just working now. But no, you should have.
So you didn't answer my original question, which is
yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Is there gonna be a bargain from Real Madrid that's available to us? Because
Asensio was going. No, I got my Asensio mentioned. There you go.
But you know he was driving at that point, didn't you?
Yes,
he was
I used Isco as bait.
Isco is going nowhere. Zidane loves Isco.
The only player they may sell is Gareth Bale because he's not happy.
No.
But I'm saying if they sell anyone, it's going to be Gareth Bale. It's because Zidane loves him, but the former hierarchy didn't. So.
You can't see Real Madrid selling Ronaldo 1 year and then selling Gareth Bale the year.
I mean, you can't, but whether if he does or not is irrelevant.
You can see them do that. But sure. Speaking of which, just a hypothetical, having nothing to do with Arsenal, of course. Serge Gnabry. I'm not talking about him leaving. I'm asking you to set a price for what you think Bayern Munich could get for him if they put him on the market this summer. Just kind of, obviously this will kind of turn the knife into us about what we've given up on him. But
and of course you'd ask me that. There you go.
Of course. What if let's say a team, let's call them Real Madrid or Arsenal or something, comes in for Serge Gnabry this summer. What's his transfer value at this point?
So for Bayern, they're very intelligent about if they have a younger player, you're going to pay a lot for what they could potentially be valued at, and I think that's good business.
You just deafened everyone who's.
And it's because who's the director of football for Bayern?
Right.
Do you know who the director of football for Bayern is? It's Vagina Crime. The man who came up with the opposite of Dick Law name.
Yes,
so
that was me.
Yeah.
If you look at Bayern, have a lot of good younger players that they're hoping to bring through the pipeline. Fruit to be Neuer's replacement. Just they're not sure about the direction they're going because of Niko Kovac. They may go on to win the league because Dortmund's completely bottled it, especially after last week.
They're very Spurs, aren't they?
Very Spurs. They are very Spurs. I mean, fuck me, that just fucking devastates me. But even if Kovac wins the league, he may get the Ancelotti treatment where he might get sacked regardless because they're not moving forward in the way that Bayern would prefer. Gnabry, he's been brilliant for German under 21s, under 20s, under 19s, under 17s. He's been brilliant throughout his entire youth international career. He was great at Werder Bremen when he left us. He was great at Hoffenheim before he went to Bayern Munich. He's been coming out for Bayern in a way where you could see that he has a future at that club. And they want to bring in young. You see the business they've done. They've got was it Lucas or Theo Hernandez? They brought him. Theo Hernandez came in. Benjamin Pavard from Stuttgart. Everyone knows him from the World Cup. They brought him in. So
you're talking about Bayern Munich?
Yeah.
Oh, Lucas. Real Madrid brought in Theo.
So they're bringing in younger players who they can build for the long term. So Gnabry suits what they want from a player. There's no way they're going to sell him. If they would, it's Bayern. They do very good business. They don't skimp on valuation. If you don't meet the price they want, they're not going to sell you at 50 million minimum. the point is we never should have sold it in the first place.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. But if we're going to look across Europe about younger players we want to bring in for a decent price and we can build for a long term, whether it's Emery or whoever the manager is, we can't compete for that price.
No.
So everyone talks about Nicola Pepe at Lille.
Yeah.
And before this season, you say minimum, max 20 million. He had this season, his value doubles.
Triples.
30, 40, 50 million. Are we going to want to show out that money? And if we do, can you really expect that our rivals may want to be interested depending on what their business is?
Yeah, and that always puts us out of the race whenever anybody else with
and
money is
that's why
involved.
we're linked with people from Anderlecht and from Genk and that kind of wheelhouse, because you want to go after younger players that can offer you something that will progress, but you don't have to pay a massive premium for it. And I don't think we're at that level financially where we can pay that premium for players. I love Serge Gnabry. He was brilliant in Stuttgart through their system. I think he did great for our under-19s and under-23s before he got injured. He did great for Germany. But
the biggest mistake we made with him was sending him to
the
Tony
fucking
Pulis.
West Brom.
Yeah.
A club that never suits his play style. Granted, he was overweight because he was injured for a long term, but you don't put him in a Pulis system to get that fitness back. You put him in a more incisive, direct system where he can actually flourish while getting fit.
And from that point, he was never going to re-sign with us, so we had to sell him because we weren't going to get.
If you take it from his standpoint, and you have to look at it this way: if I'm Serge Gnabry and I'm getting sent on loan to West Brom, what does that say to me about how Arsenal view my career and future prospects at the club? Not very great. So could you blame him for not wanting to re-sign and re-up his contract? I certainly don't. But I think the club's good to pooch. But we also have options. You have Reece Nelson coming back, who could be an Emery's flange. You have Emil Smith-Rowe, who hasn't got a lot of opportunities at RB Leipzig, but
He's just finally gotten healthy again.
But they want to re-up his contract for next season because they see something in him. And I think as an actual player, I think he actually has something to offer. So there are options there in players. We might not even have to dip into the market where we could, in theory, shell out a chunk of money on one top-class center back and mold it near Virgil van Dijk, because we need that kind of center back. Dijk, I don't fucking speak Dutch. It's whatever. So,
Dijk, let's call the whole thing off.
Dijk, depending. But so you got, and that goes back to the question of how the club are going to spend their money this summer. Do we throw all our eggs in one basket on one center back and then bring in depth options at left back? Ryan Sessegnon is about to get relegated with Fulham. Do you go after Ryan Sessegnon? Do you go after Nicola Tagliafico from Ajax, who will be worth more than 15-20 million pounds?
Yes, you did.
Those kind of signings will allow us to save money to go after that top-class center back we've been crying out for a long time.
Well, Tagliafico's not going to get you to save money, is it?
I'm sorry?
Tagliafico won't get you to save money.
15-20 million is not that bad for a starting left back.
15? You think he's going to go for 15-20 million?
Because it's Ajax. They can only demand but so
30,
much.
minimum.
Minimum, sure.
30.
All right,
But the fact
do
is,
I hear 40 from anybody? 40, 41 going,
look at this way.
42.
They've already sold Frankie de Jong. They might sell De Ligt.
They will sell Ligt.
Right, De Jong's gone.
He's going to
So
Barcelona.
De Ligt's going to go, and I agree with Tom. I think De Ligt is a shoe-in for a big club. They don't need to command a gigantic fee for because they've already made it back into the player. So we might have some bit of niggling in there.
I mean, Andy wants Jadon Sancho.
Yes, and Andy also wants to know
75, 80,
whether,
90 million.
hundreds.
whether
Yeah.
Tom is playing video games while he's doing the podcast. He actually has his phone out, and he's playing FIFA, and the players just got
I'm
off
on
the
the
bus.
chat. I'm looking at the chat.
He's talking about how the players got off the bus all motivated, and it's whether he's in person or not, it's just the same thing with him.
But
Speaking of Andy, by the way, and desperately trying to move it off of hipster talk, the man Andy Rhodes got his first Arsenal tattoo this week.
did he?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Andy has a tattoo.
Welcome to the club,
picture.
friend.
It's a picture of me though for some reason. I don't understand why.
Sounds right.
No, it's an Arsenal tattoo. It's some numbers on it. I forget what they mean, but so you have an Arsenal tattoo as well. I was going to ask you
I
guys.
have a tattoo, but
Where?
an Arsenal tattoo.
Oh,
Is it
not an Arsenal
It's not a Spurs tattoo, is it?
Yeah, totally. How'd you know?
It's
a
a
Bundesliga.
It's a Dortmund
No,
tattoo.
it's a Dutch national team logo.
Is it?
Because there's Bergkamp. It's my favorite player.
Okay.
is Bergkamp tattoo?
No, it's a Dutch national logo tattoo right here.
The line.
The lion.
They're coming for you.
Yes.
Any-
Goodbye.
Any tattoos, or do they have like a minimum 24 age limit for tattoos over New England?
I got G's looking right at you like you've heard.
Yeah.
Jessica, any tattoos of Arsenal or other persuasion?
I'm scheduling my tattoo for London right now.
Sweet. All right. Well, that will be happening. Is it weird that Andy got the tattoo directly next to his anus? I mean, the rumor is that it's like
it is the arse.
Yeah, it's the Arsenal. Yeah, and I mean the tattoo. Like apparently there was a circle and that was part of the tattoo. But anyway, yeah, that's a little disrespectful. I think.
Slightly.
I don't mean mean to Andy. I mean Andy getting that tattoo is disrespectful to the Arsenal.
I love that you went a good 7-8 minutes
without saying anus.
Finally
No,
realized.
but you realised it was disrespectful.
Oh, no. I mean it's disrespectful to the club to get it so close to your anus.
Oh.
Okay, so we figured out the reason. I went on the internet thing. I did some maths. And,
Maths?
Maths.
Yeah.
And I figured out how to get on the internet. And I found out the reason we lost to Everton the other day. And it is because apparently before the game in the players' tunnel, the players were so unmotivated because Mesut Ozil was just standing there with his arms crossed. I mean, when I saw that, I just got so angry.
You didn't fucking get angry. No,
I did.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was pretty angry.
Obviously, I'm joking.
There's no fucking way.
That is the biggest example
see him.
of
He was
somebody
there.
with an agenda looking to make a point. But what was he supposed to be doing?
You know, like G'ing up the crowd.
G'ing up the crowd?
He's really white.
You're going to use the word G'ing, aren't you? It's
Jesus.
I thought you were talking about your missus.
Ozil is the captain that day, okay. I can understand the animosity around him being the way he was. He's captain. I thought you were about to tap the bell for animosity. And I was like, just because I use big words doesn't make me...
It's how you say them that matters.
Animosity. Yeah. But he's captain, right? So he's in the tunnel and he should be G'ing up the team is what people should say.
But how do you know he wasn't right before that, right after
Or
that?
right after.
He was playing Tetris against the wall.
Tetris. Let me ask you a
How the
question.
fuck do you know what Tetris is?
So for 5 straight minutes, is you supposed to be ramping the team up?
Sorry, I can't hear what you're saying.
I fucking hate you. How about that? Can you hear that? So for 5 straight minutes, is he supposed to be ramping the team for 5 straight minutes top? No. You see when you watch whatever league you want to watch, the captain turns around, claps, come on boys. That takes 3, 4, 5 seconds top. So what would you like from him? And I think Mike and I agree here. It's a convenient.
An assist.
I fucking hate it.
It's Tom Gunner.
Anyway,
Everybody.
it's a convenient picture that only gives you a fraction of what happened in the tunnel before. And how do you, again, like Mike said, I did not know what happened before.
I'm out of pictures.
Yeah, I'm
And I
living
feel
in it.
like the reaction from our fans, I think, is what makes me angry. I mean, you want to visually see your captain get your team going, and I understand that. But anyone who watches football knows that you're not in the tunnel for 6 seconds and then you're walking out of the tunnel. It's a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, depending on when the home team comes out. If you're away or for away.
So if we pulled the film, like the security footage,
sure.
do you think we would have seen him going "Yeah, Gunners, yeah" for like the other 2 minutes? And
I'd hope so, but if he wasn't, then I could understand, and I would probably join him with the fact that, listen, you're the captain. It's your job to make sure that your 10 players are up front on that day. That's the captain's job, because at that point in the tunnel, the manager has no one usually the manager comes up before or right after the team. So if he's not the one in the tunnel ramping the team up at any point, then I can understand. If someone put a 3-minute video clip of Arsenal in the tunnel and he wasn't doing shit but looking at the fucking radiator, then I can understand.
kind of like Tom is doing right now.
Correct.
I'm promoting the podcast, man. There's got something to it.
So, but that snapshot of what was, again, a fraction of what actually happened and the reaction to it, I think it's
Yeah, that's
I think
just
it's ridiculous.
that's the
Not my captain. Sell him. Like it's like have a fucking word for yourself. Honestly.
yeah. No, I agree with that. I think that's a little, whatever you think of Mesut Ozil. If you jumped on that photograph and slated him because of that, then you do have to have a look at yourself in the mirror.
Do you know who is a massive laid back guy though and thinks the world of himself?
Not me. I know that.
Lead judges.
Uh-oh.
Look! I just seen a tweet from him. Box life at Arsenal.
Box life.
Box life. Look at him. Look at this smug guy.
I didn't think he'd ever be invited back in the club level after he took me there one time, and I literally, in the 15 minutes of halftime, I think I had 4 glasses of red wine because it was just there. So I thought that would be his last time there, but and Liechtensteiner also scored that.
Liechtensteiner.
Yeah, I say it that way on purpose now.
Who are you, Kenny?
Liechtensteiner.
Catola. I say Liechtensteiner as a memorial and a tribute to the late Lee Judges, because I cared for him so much while he was alive. All right, what's next?
We must be near the end by now.
Ajax. Well, we're almost to user questions. And we're going to invite Jessica on for user questions because we want her answers on that.
And Rachel as well.
Ajax. Impressive run in the Champions League. Continued yesterday with 1-1 draw at home against Juve. The team has all the history of a big team in Europe, but they've kind of become they're a selling club. Yeah. They're a feeder club, but they're one that does it while winning and looking impressive. It's kind of like Drew's boy Dortmund from 5 or 10 years ago. It's in the sense that they sell while being incredibly impressive on the pitch, and every time they sell somebody, they reload. So here's the question: right this minute, you have the opportunity to swap every player for Arsenal for every player from Ajax, including the coaches as well. Basically, just take Ajax's current team, knowing that you're not going to have to sell them anymore because we got a billionaire as our own. Would you make that switch?
No, I would. I mean, Ajax has. No. Here's why. So Ajax has the likes of David Neres. They do have Frankie de Jong still. They have players of that ilk who are for a fact if you watch them play, they're going to be first-class European football.
Jess, everybody. It was the lovely Jess from the Arsenal, New York City.
But currently they're in the system that they've been brought up in for however many years through the youth academy at Ajax, and they're playing the football they've been taught to. So if you're replacing the players at Ajax and putting in an Arsenal that doesn't play the same way, they're not going to be nearly as effective. It's not possible. Ajax play a 4-3-3. It's very fluid. That's not how we play. If you put those Ajax players in the Emery system, there's no way that they're going to be better than what we have now. They're going to be worse than we have.
Well, I'm just saying switch the whole thing.
He said switch the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Yeah, literally, Ajax becomes Arsenal and Arsenal
I still don't think so because if the Eredivisie week in, week out, it does not have the attacking quality throughout the entire league where it'll really give Ajax a problem. They struggle against the likes of PSV, Vitesse Arnhem, Feyenoord, but when it PSV is more than people like that, they 5, 6, 7-0. Ajax right now against even mid-table teams, they struggle against the Wolves. Wolves will probably beat.
If you put the value though, right? Sure. So you value every player in that Ajax team up against the value of every single Arsenal player. I reckon our Ajax team is worth more.
I think it depends on who's buying.
Because of, De Ligt himself is 80, 90 million.
Depends on who's buying.
Frankie de Jong has been bought for 60 million.
70 million.
So, yeah, about that.
Yeah.
David Neres, you'd expect 40, 50 million.
But after that,
Dusan Tadic has gone up by about 20 million, so he's like 30, 40 million himself.
But that's
Tagliafico's another 30, 40 million.
But most of those people.
Tom just showing that he knows who plays.
No. But apart from Tadic, who's 30 now, you're also buying players who have that potential. So you're buying the potential, not just the quality now. Arsenal don't have a ton of players who you're paying for potential plus current quality.
They have an aging squad.
Exactly.
Well, I actually, and I'm riffing off of our good friend here, Ian Wright, but when in his book, he did talk a lot about the culture of the super agent and how, especially younger kids are being approached by agents and signing them, and it's becoming a lot more of a game in the sense of, who you have in your stable, and who you have in your stable as a super agent is becoming more important than who is the talented player. And so in a sense, it's almost the deck is very stacked.
Yeah.
If Mino Raiola is your agent, you know for a fact that Thompson's going to get more money than if Joe Schmo.
He's getting more money.
That too. But you know that he won't negotiate. It's going to be, this is what I want from my player, and if not, I'll go elsewhere. Whereas other agents might be more willing to negotiate. Yeah. Someone like Mino Raiola is not going to.
I don't know who Aaron Ramsey's agent is, but I hate you.
Yeah, I don't like him at all. I blame him for this.
And I say this as somebody who loves Aaron, and I say this as somebody who thinks that, you know, I want the best for the Arsenal first, and, you know, Aaron Ramsey to me has been a great servant to us regardless of what happens going forward, but the greed of agents is killing this game. It is exorbitant prices for players who may or may not live up to their potential, and that is my feeling on that.
So you're here to say, fuck agents at this point.
Unless you're Hector Bellerin and you want me to be your agent,
Yes.
I will be there.
David
Love
Baldwin
you.
is around.
Yes, Aaron Ramsey is leaving the club because of his agent, and we're gonna say that that's the case. So hopefully, Jess will stick around and answer some user questions, which we will now get to. The first one comes from Nathan Smith.
Who's that?
AKA Nate.
Lee's favorite friend.
Yes.
Why does Lee get?
Nate Gunner. Which path is one of the least? Which path is the one of least resistance to Champions League play? The Europa League or the top four? And why do you think that? Why would you prioritize one or the other? So the question is from Nate, which is going to be the easiest way to qualify for Champions League next season? At this point, we've got, 6 or 7 games left in the league, 6 games left. We've clearly now gotten the heads up in our Europa League. If we had just lost 4-0, I think we would have probably had an easier answer to this question. But Tom, starting with you, do we think should we still be focusing everything on the Champions League through the Europa path to the point where maybe we're sacrificing a game like Monday night against Watford that is just less than 72 hours before the kickoff of the Napoli game?
No, I think accidental press of the bell. No, I think
Quickly say something English.
We threw that overboard.
No, I think the league is still the best route. Personally, I think if you look at our fixtures, all those teams that we face on paper, we should beat. We should beat Watford. We should beat Leicester. We should beat Burnley. We should beat these guys.
You feel comfortable about Wolves away?
Whether we will beat these teams, and I think, but we should. Napoli away, even with a 2-0 swing, it's still a hard game. It's still a hard game. And if we need to score, I would set up. I mean, if he sets up in the same way he set up against Everton, against a team where, when we play away, Emery sets up in a way in which we think we should be defensive and absorb pressure and hit them on the counter. If we do that against Napoli away, I don't see us going through. If we set up the same way we did tonight, look to score a goal, then yes, I think we go through because we score and then they need to score 4. So it's as simple as that. But if we play our games like we should, set out in an attacking sense, go out there to win every game by scoring plenty of goals, I think we win those matches. I think the Premier League is still the easiest way to go in because you still have to play Chelsea in the final if our route dictates. Villarreal and Valencia are still 2 very good teams. We're not part of the feeder league.
They are the feeder league.
No. But 1-on-1 in Chelsea against one game, I'm not 100% confident. I know we've beaten them this season at home.
Especially without Mkhitaryan.
Yeah,
because we'll be in Baku.
We wouldn't. And he wouldn't play.
No, so, probably not.
He probably would go. But I would rather, if you offered me, say, 7 games against these teams that are bottom half of the table, like Wolves, Watford aside, or 1 game against Chelsea, I'd take the 7 teams because we should beat those. We should. But the issue is,
how confident do you feel that we're going to go and beat both Watford and Wolves away from home?
I do not feel confident.
It's a very matter of fact.
I would almost favor us in let's say the semifinal. Let's say we go to Frankfurt, for instance. I know I'm not underestimating Frankfurt.
No.
I know that they're
Who
a good
underestimates
team.
Frankfurt?
Everybody, apparently.
But, to have 2 matches, 1 at home and 1 away against them versus having confidence about taking a result and a full 3 points at either Watford or Wolves right now, the way those 2 teams are playing, I mean, I think the Europa League might be the easier way, assuming we get past Napoli.
I honestly feel like with every match that we do play, unless we feel like our feet are to the fire, there's not enough fire in our squad to actually get past people. When I watched the Everton match, when I watched other matches this season, when we talk about we should be beating these teams, we should have won that West Ham game. However,
it's getting to the point where there's not many left, though.
No, but it still becomes a matter of the fact that whether or not it's in the Premier League, whether or not it's in the Europa League, whoever is out there needs to be G'd up. I don't know if Jens Lehmann needs to come in and punch the people in the face. He's free, according to the media. Jens is wide open. Have him come in. Punch the people in the face. Let's do this. G them up. Whether Jay-Z or you need to start playing Steve Austin's music.
I'm just letting this go.
Every single match. There is a sense sometimes when I watch us that I wonder if we've ever really gotten our heads in the game. And I can't say that I know we have, and I can't ever feel confident because I don't know what squad is going to show up on the pitch.
Yeah, Drew, Europa League or a fourth place finish?
I think fourth place finish.
Also, fuck Pochettino, by the way.
Fair.
I mean, we need that.
I would say fourth
To be
place simply
clarified.
because I'm with Tom. If you look at
Always. That's not what it is.
depends.
It's actually the first time you're with them.
Soulmates.
True.
These two are soulmates. Peanut butter and jelly.
So who's the peanut butter? Who's the jelly? This I have that.
Peanut butter and chocolate. Like they walked around the corner
Now
and
listen.
Tom's peanut butter
Oh, yeah, there's
went into Drew's chocolate.
Reese's cup instead.
Wouldn't that be Nutella? Because I'm only like half chocolate.
You're saying Nutella is not full chocolate?
It's hazelnut.
No, but look at the colour. I don't want to say the colour.
It's always about that with him, man. Always.
Anyway, no, but if you look at the,
Oreo.
I mean, Christ, high school all over again.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the host or the
Other advice is available.
Other advice is how many pints are we in?
Fair.
Yeah.
If you look at the schedule for the league, there are some tough away matches, sure, but the difference between us and the likes of Sid and Liverpool right now is while they'll respect their opponents when they're on the road, but they still give themselves a chance tactically to actually win the match. We're so afraid to concede that we can then concede any chance to consistently score a goal. Christ.
Andy is
I see that he's very
he's co-hosting this podcast from the chat, and he's doing a very good job
gotta
of
give him
it.
credit.
All right.
Sure.
So,
but that's kind of where I'm at. So I feel like I still think it's a league. I think there's too many variables in the Europa League. It's only a home and away leg. There are still some very, very deceptively good teams left. We keep bringing up Ajax Frankfurt. You know, they have Sebastian Aller, Luka Jovic, who's arguably the best under 21 center forward in Europe this season. Ante Rebic, who had a fantastic.
You think they're going through?
Those three.
You think they're going through?
I'll deal with
They're
you later.
4-2 down.
I think
From
that
home, from away.
You think they're going to win 2-0?
2-0 away, from home to win.
historically, the Europa is nice competition.
That's
True.
true. But
He does not know how to not win that.
But do you think if we win the Europa, do you think? I mean, I guess it doesn't matter at that point. But if say for example, he pushes so hard to win the Europa, and we come up just short, and then we miss out on the league.
Right. Oh, that's the disaster
That's the
scenario.
problem. Right. And so that's why I think if you put all your baskets in the league, and you say if you win Europa, that's a fantastic bonus. But if we go fourth in the league or up, we're guaranteed champions.
Well, we control our own destiny. I mean,
Right,
if we don't drop stupid points, then we'll win the league. I mean, we'll win the
I
fourth place trophy.
I wish.
Yeah. So next question.
The Arsene Wenger Memorial.
Exactly, the fourth place
Fourth
trophy,
place trophy.
where we really actually haven't finished exactly fourth. I don't think in about 8 or 9 years.
I remember we beat the Tots to it. Thank you, Newcastle.
The Tots.
The Tots.
No, that was that was when we finished second, and they finished third in a 2-team race. From Bobby Chakraborty, name your favorite
what's up, Bobby?
Arsenal kit, home and away. The classic ones are good. I mean, I like this, but my favorite home kit is still the last Nike shirt before we switched over, with the blue stripe on the sleeves. I know it wasn't like super traditional, but I just love that kit. I haven't seen anybody in it today, but it's obviously not going to be anything that Puma's put out. But that's my favorite home one. And for an away, I think I got to go with the 1989 yellow JVC kit. Everyone knows why, but that kit just has.
Do you want that brought back as a new away under Adidas?
Do I want that brought
like a rendition of it, obviously?
Will it say does JVC still have a company?
But that's
I don't fucking know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
JVC. Do you still have a company?
Yes.
Hit us up. We're ready.
Any stockbrokers and business specialists that are listening to this podcast, does JVC? We'll go it on to Wall Street and find out afterwards. But yeah, those are my two favorite. Your favorite home and away, Tom?
Favorite home kit is the Invincible season home kits, the O2. Perfect. Favorite away kit is harder because I'm only 12 years old.
He knows nothing other than the Puma.
And he has no idea what the
Puma.
I like the blue lightning bolt kit. The lightning bolt one.
Anything but the blue kit from last season, the third kit last season.
Oh no!
Or was that the away kit?
That was
the away kit.
With the white and turquoise stripe.
The one where the only time we played and won in that kit was away to Milan.
I call that kit the Finding Nemo kit.
Oh,
and it should be retired and burned.
If
you have it, they should reimburse you for it and then burn it.
I call it the Finding Drop Points shirt, but favorite home and away?
Favorite home shirt probably is that Invincible shirt. That shirt is so iconic to me.
Iconic! Only a few people will get that.
The favorite away shirt, not really for any particular reason, would be that last Nike away shirt, almost that Swedish page boy collar shirt. I have one of those myself with Lucas Podolski on the back.
Good choice.
His name, or is he actually on the back of your jersey?
I wish he was on the back.
Is his kebab shop on the back of your jersey?
I would honestly sponsor Lucas Podolski in any forum ever. So you just reach out to me, Poldy. I'm here for you.
Poldy listens to the podcast. Poldy came up to me before the podcast and said, "Hey, are you Mike from the Gooners Podcast?" He's great.
I don't think I was Poldy.
Yeah.
You've had a fan today.
I had a fan.
Did.
I did have a fan. By the way, James at Lossless came up at the pub today and did my ego proud in front of these boys because it's a guy who I've been communicating with a lot through the podcast, asked some great user questions, and he recognized me. So,
not everybody can have their big Arsenal sign up at the WWE event.
I lost that sign.
Iconic.
I lost that sign on Tuesday. I'm very, very upset about it. But anyway, favorite home and away kit?
98, 99, both home and away.
Both home and away. Just went for it right there.
Yeah.
Is that red wine?
Fuck you, that's Jaeger.
Oh, damn.
You're straight again.
Damn, he's got some Jaeger going
It's
on
Jaeger.
right
Triple Jaeger.
Straight.
All right, so
Red
the
wine.
next question comes from Amanda. Tom, this is for you.
No, okay.
As you
Baby.
prepare to go to the toilet,
Okay.
from Amanda, a.k.a. Gooner Girl 1969, ask Tom why his head is so big in all of the selfies that he takes.
He's got a big head.
We dealt with this last night. We had dinner by Times Square, took a selfie, and very little of Times Square appears in the picture, but very lot of Tom's head.
Yeah.
Why is this? I mean, is there just that much brain that has to fit in there?
Well, I got a Desmond at uni, so I doubt it is that. Do you know what Desmond is?
Yes, a tutu.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. So no, apparently not. It's just big.
Okay. Now we get to the portion of the podcast where number one, Tom urinates again.
Again.
I have a weak bladder.
My bladder is the worst, and I don't know how I've kept it together so far. But David Ziegler is a prolific questionnaire, and he's given us a raft of questions to answer on this podcast. So the first question, would you buy a guaranteed Premier League title next season if the cost was that for one full year you couldn't get a boner without playing the complete catalog of Hall & Oates on full blast? So this is a tough one. We're gonna go to you because I'm pretty sure
Just can't get
the
a
other
boner.
person can't get a boner.
No.
We'll go with the
minute Hall & Oates was mentioned, the answer was no, always.
So
there's no question.
So you're choosing Manchester City over Hall & Oates.
I'll take second and no Hall & Oates. It's not even a
Honestly, Viagra is your friend.
I'm good. No.
I mean, when you can't get a boner anyway, it's probably an easier question to answer.
I'm not 40 yet. I don't have that problem. I'm like somebody over here who's 46.
Little blue pill. All right, so the answer from Drew is no. I would, because I don't really need it that much anymore. I got my kids.
You got a successful career.
I'm doing all right in life. My wife is gorgeous, but
smoking hot.
I would like a Premier League title, so I'll just take a year off, I suppose.
So you
and I don't even have to take a year off because I can just play Hall & Oates.
So say you live another 30 years, you don't think Arsenal's going to win the league one time in the next 30 years without Hall & Oates?
Well, it isn't this that I want to see it one more time before
you want to see
I want to see it
16 more
times. I want to see
times.
it immediately.
Have some faith. Hall & Oates.
Superstitions.
What's the question?
Would you buy a guaranteed Premier League title next season if the cost was that for one full year you couldn't get a boner without playing the complete catalog of Hall & Oates on full blast?
Here's what Hall & Oates is.
Yeah,
he probably doesn't know who Hall & Oates is.
There's no way that he does.
Is that because I'm young?
That's correct.
No,
you're
I don't know the entire
because you're sitting with your back to the camera now.
What is it?
Exactly. It's not oatmeal. No oats.
No, it's look up since you're on your phone the whole podcast anyway.
I'm looking at the chat. I'm literally looking at their
Yes, and the chat is literally right next to you.
Yeah, but I'm responding as well.
Yeah.
I'm nice. You don't respond to anyone.
That's true.
Well,
can't
he
see this
does, but this is PG.
Yes, this is PG. What is PG?
Hall and Oates.
Pretty gross. All right. Another one from David Ziegler. Would you ever make a bet with someone, regardless of what you could win, if losing meant you had to wear a Spud shirt for a week straight?
Never.
Would you make a bet?
No.
You could win $1 million.
Yeah, but you also could not win $1 million and be stuck in a fucking spreadshirt for a week.
I would have lost the dignity, and that's just not happening.
No,
never. Because dignity and Jess are like synonymous with each other.
Kind of.
Yet
Pride is synonymous.
I wasn't
there would be no pride.
That was not meant to sound sarcastic.
Wow.
I realized it did, and I'm sorry. That wasn't
I could not face myself. I think I would literally set myself on fire before I could deal with that.
That's a fair response.
All right. So is there anything that you would gamble, any potential winnings that you would be okay with if losing that bet also meant that you had to wear a Spurs shirt?
Yes. So I never lose.
That's bullshit. I call bullshit. No way.
I never lose, but I have my ear appearing on the podcast video right now. This is Tom's ear, everybody. It's an English ear. It's an ear. All right. That's how they say it over there. All right, we're almost done here. What's the best item on the Waffle House menu after cheese and eggs with raisin toast?
You looked right at me when you asked that question.
Well, because I don't think you've ever been to a Waffle House.
She knows more than that because she's from North Carolina.
You know where they don't have Waffle Houses?
Here.
They also don't have them in San Antonio.
Correct. Why would you mention that?
I'm just saying, David Ziegler is from San Antonio.
Is he?
And he is the head of the Waffle House in San Antonio movement.
I'll see you soon. I do love a good waffle. I do love fried chicken for obvious reasons, but that's not the first point.
No. So David.
Jess will know more than I do.
David likes to talk about Waffle House because of the lack of them in his hometown.
Ask Jess.
What is the best item there?
I would like to talk about the lack of Waffle House. I mean,
Waffle High is actually the plural.
High?
Well, I have become quite the expert in the New York City diner industry since I've been here 9 years. However, when I am drunk at 3 a.m., nothing gets me through like the covered hash browns
chunked?
The covered. Look it up. The covered hash browns with 4 or 5 cups of coffee.
Oh,
I like it.
You can look it up.
Okay.
He does that.
But yes, the covered hash browns. It's on the menu. Look it up. And some nice Waffle House coffee.
I'm a steak and eggs guy. from the Waffle House. But David, they will come there soon enough. Okay, just be patient.
We're fighting for you, David.
Just
We're
be
fighting
patient.
for you. Waffle
patient.
House. Entrepreneurship is in your hands.
Is the British accent, this is also from David, is the British accent the only one that makes Arsenal come out in 2 syllables?
Arsenal.
Arsenal. Okay. Are there any other accents? Are there any other accents that accomplish that? Or is it always
How do
3
you say
syllables? Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Yeah,
So it's 3 accents. 3 different.
Right, but in is the British accent the British accent? That's for you, Danny. Is the English accent the only time that it's 2 syllables?
You mean the correct way of saying? I don't understand the question. It's Arsenal. That's how it is. It's Arsenal.
Arsenal. No.
Arsenal.
That's the way you say it.
Arsenal.
And is it okay for do you get upset when you hear Americans say Arsenal?
No.
Like ARSENOO.
No, because I'm sure there's a lot
because they're obviously trying to sound authentic in English.
I'm sure there's a lot of American things that I say differently to how you say.
Like graham cracker.
Graham.
Wafer. It's a wafer.
Yeah, he's like, what's s'more? Georgia last night's like, oh, I love s'mores. Really, I want to have a s'more. And he's like, what are s'mores? I'm like, there's a graham cracker. He's like, what the hell is that? He's like, I only know about Graham Brooks. Who is this graham cracker fellow?
Well, at least it's not Graham Souness, right?
True. Yeah, it's a wafer.
All right. 2 more questions and then we're going to go.
Okay.
How disappointing is it that we cannot see Arsenal women's matches regularly on TV or stream or online? The fuck is wrong with that shit?
Yeah,
I actually added that part to the question. But, Arsenal has a very competitive, very successful and prideful women's football team, and we rarely ever get to see them. All right, well, since there's a reason why, let's hear it.
The reason why is that not enough people want to watch it, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's huge because the Arsenal women are very... No, I'm telling you the answer. The answer is because unfortunately not enough people want to watch
And you think of it this way, Arsenal women have at least 8 international women's players. There's 4 Dutch internationals, an Austrian,
we have some of the best players in the world.
Yeah, and no one really knows except for Tim Stillman, who does a really great job about trying to give women's updates. But even if you follow on Instagram, you'll get those updates that you want from them, and you can see how good Vivian Miedema is on pace to break the women's goal scoring record for international goals, and no one has a fucking clue.
And it's surprising because I will say, I think in this country especially because of the success of our national team.
Yeah.
The interest in women's football is
minute.
It's skewed.
It's
very skewed.
But it is there, is what I'm saying, and I think more people would probably.
But it's there based off of where you live, and I know you know this. Football in the U.S. is still very segregated based off of where you're from in the U.S. If you're from California, Oregon, Washington, North Carolina, which women's football is massive there. But if you go to like Louisiana, they don't give a shit. Whereas in other sports, they don't care. Football as a whole, even if it's just men's, isn't universally accepted in the U.S. yet. So women's certainly isn't going to be some. I witnessed it. I'm sure you witnessed it. Mike witnessed the '99 Women's World Cup. I went to U.S. Denmark at Giant Stadium. It was brilliant. Sold out Giant Stadium, 76,000 people. It was great. But
they played that World Cup into Tom's mom's womb while he was getting ready.
Gestating.
Yeah.
The thing is, you'll never get that here, but in Europe, it's growing. France is a brilliant women's league. Germany, brilliant women's league. Switzerland is up and coming, so it's there. But unfortunately, everyone is still so driven by what they grew up on. They didn't grow up on women's football. They grew up on men's football. And unfortunately to say it, until men start to revere women's football to the level they revere men's football, it's just never going to get the attention. Despite that there's so many women's footballs out there, they're absolutely brilliant. Ada Hagerberg, she just won the women's Ballon d'Or, and she's Norwegian. And no one thinks
what question did she get asked?
Huh?
And what question did she get asked?
There was some awful sexist thing that
she said, "Would you want to twerk on?" She was asked, "Would you want to twerk on stage?" A, that's actually deplorable. But B, she's a brilliant professional, and
that shows the mentality of.
She's literally 24, 25 years old, and she's from a country that doesn't value women's football to the level because Norwegian women's football is actually they won one of the World Cups, and one of the gold medals in the Olympics already. they're not appreciated, and that's a microcosm of what's actually going on. So for me, I feel like if Arsenal led the way, came up with a service where we could watch the women's team, even if you paid £5 a month, I'd absolutely do it because we're drawing that level of women's players who were at the top echelon of women's football. I'd absolutely.
It's great football.
It really is.
It's just great football, and I mean, I wish we had a woman on the podcast panel that could answer this.
It's really, yeah. Waiting my turn.
Oh my God.
Waiting my turn. For me, I was fortunate enough to be in London for the women's SSC FA Cup final against the Chelsea ladies. And though that result was not what we wanted, it was also very empowering in the sense that there were a lot of tickets sold. Wasn't sold out, but there were a lot of tickets sold, and there were a lot of people there that regardless of whether they were wearing red or blue, that they did show up to support their club. And that is important. However, it is much harder on a global scale. It's much harder even in America, in the U.S., where we do have the women's champions.
Wow.
Well,
Sorry, we're just
probably
reading the
not
chat.
that inaccurate, though.
I don't know if you're looking for a predator, John, but we are talking about the predators of the football racket, and I do think that it's been great in the sense that I was actually able to watch basically the equivalent of the League Cup, where on Facebook our women were able to beat the Manchester City women and win that trophy. Vivian Miedema actually scored that goal.
How hard could it be to stream it though? I mean,
not hard.
On Arsenal Player, on Bleacher Report. I mean,
for people who are already members of or full-time members of the website and of the club, it should be.
I think that honestly, people need to stop boxing and everything, and especially because everything is becoming such a commodity. When I started following this club, I was able to catch maybe every third or fourth match on Satanta or Fox Soccer Channel.
Fox Sports World way back when.
Oh yeah.
Fox Sports World, Satanta, long gone Satanta.
Yeah.
And I looked at how everything has evolved, but in some ways, I feel like there's such a missed opportunity now where, especially as it is becoming harder and harder to consume football here, that we could be missing an opportunity via either Arsenal.com or, other channels, Facebook, etc., to consume women's football. And I feel like this is something that when I started following Arsenal 15 years ago, that had I not been exposed to them at that time, I don't know that I ever would have been exposed to them. And I definitely believe that exposure leads to a foothold, and a foothold leads to, where we are now.
That's what I've always believed, which is why I frequently expose myself to complete strangers, because I want to get a foothold. And you keep talking about consuming, and I'm thinking about how much we need to finish this podcast and start consuming some beers and some Jägermeister.
And I just want to say thank you to Rebecca Lowe for being somebody who I really look up to, and being a woman and in sport and commentating, especially you and both you, Kelly Smith, and Alex Scott.
Kid Abdo.
Let's give a shout out to Amy Lawrence as well.
Kid Abdo.
And but it's great to see Kelly Smith, especially if you are an Arsenal fan. It's great to see Kelly Smith, Boston, Alexi Lawless. It's great to see Alex Scott doing her thing. Whatever haters may say, fuck them. And also, Rebecca Lowe for the U.S. set with NBC Sports. It's important to get those female voices out there.
Yeah, she does a fantastic job. I mean, I can't imagine the telecasts on the weekends without her. Last question, and I just want a quick answer. No dossiers, okay, guys? And then we'll let everybody go. If the most intimidating player on the team is Socrates or Kolasinac, who would be the least intimidating? And you can't say Mustafi, because I'd be pretty intimidated seeing some guy rolling on the ground heading towards me like a danger man.
I'm sad that you bought into the nonsense.
Now, look, I actually was backing Mustafi to come good this season.
I know you were.
And it just hasn't happened. So, I would have said Bellerin originally, and I know that will probably upset
fight you.
However,
I love you, Hector.
Bellerin has, Lichtsteiner's arrival, I believe. Stefan.
Fuck you! How dare you bring my middle name into this? I fucking hate you.
Stefan Lichtsteiner has turned Bellerin into a proper dick.
Stephanie.
In a way that I love. So I wouldn't mess with Bellerin anymore.
There is an obvious answer to this.
I'm gonna go with Dejan Iliev.
Oh,
I'm going last because I want to see if anyone else says.
No, Tom's the guest.
Actually,
Tom's the guest. He's going
to me, and then I'll pass it around. The least intimidating player on the team is one Carl Jenkinson. He's lovable. He wears that big green outfit for the game, the dinosaur thing, to make all the kids happy. I'm just really not that intimidated by him.
Definitely Diaby. It's definitely Diaby.
Well, current player.
I see you, Abu.
Current player.
Induzi.
Oh, all right.
That's who I was
You think Induzi overcompensates?
He's
Interesting.
I love you, Mateo. I love you.
Monreal's
But
not
you
very
are my little Bambi, and you are just growing, and I can't wait to watch you grow. But right now, you're the least intimidating player.
He is up there. He is definitely up
Hold
there.
on. Elneny.
No,
I would actually say Mustafi. I give him the benefit of the doubt, but have you ever heard him
Always
speak?
makes me win every argument.
He's very like, what? Like,
It's just dancing.
listen, if it's a back alley,
He also presented his anus to a referee one
he
time.
sure did.
To take advantage of him. We have a meme, I think, of that. So
He did.
that's not that intimidating.
But if it's him in the back alley 1 a.m., I'm not worried about Mustafi. Socrates,
Yeah, but
Kolasinac,
you know
I'm worried
him.
about.
But you know Mustafi. Like if you were just going off of first instincts, you wouldn't say Mustafi off the bat.
Perhaps. So if I had to have a backup, I'd probably say Hector. I'm terribly sorry.
Okay.
I will punch you in the face.
He's wearing his grandmother's couch on a coat. Like you can't like. How can you take that seriously?
All right, and we know your answer, but let me hear your explanation, even though I asked for no explanation.
Let's get Induzi.
All right.
Really?
He's the least threatening person I've ever seen.
You saw his video, right, of Ramsey walking out. Did you see that?
Yeah, he was
Yeah, that wasn't-
fangirling.
he wasn't
He was
exactly-
fangirling.
When you fangirl somebody, you're probably not going to be
No,
getting
sure,
that kind of respect.
Sure. He's just a child. He's a child.
He's
He
19. He's
is,
19.
but he isn't.
Yeah.
He's 2 years older than you.
He's like Lumiere in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Like he's very sweet and he's very kind and lovely.
He's the kind of guy you want in the dressing room, but he's not the kind of guy you want
He
kicking
needs to
people's
hang
ass.
out with Jack Wilshere a little bit.
Yeah, and then he'll just start smoking all the time.
That's
All right, we're
Stephanie.
gonna wrap it up. Quick reminder: subscribe on YouTube. There'll be a link over my shoulder in some capacity at some point where you can subscribe. Drew, you've recently changed your Twitter handle,
Correct.
and not a day goes by where 10 people don't ask me,
It does
how do I
Who is this
find
guy?
Drew?
It does
I don't know what he
confuse.
looks like, and he keeps changing his name. Does he want attention or does he not
I
want
don't
attention?
want
So
attention.
we're-
He
Artist
does.
formerly
He does want
known-
I don't want attention.
He loves
The
it.
artist
No.
formerly known as AFC BBBB
So we're-
410.
where can we
Yes, man.
where can we now find your passive aggressive at?
FM Lair.
FM
Laramie.
Lara.
Laramie's
Teacher.
teacher. Laramie's teacher. There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
FM Lair.
FMLEH.
And you're writing
Never.
for
You are my Arsenal. Get your football news. And then I write for FMBs. I write for like a lot of football manager blogs.
excellent.
Whoever will hire him.
Correct.
Because he's
And I
Desperate.
will have him.
That too.
I will have him all day, every
I
day.
know.
Tom, you have a podcast.
Guys,
You have fans.
you've been on it.
Where-
I've been on it.
where
We need to
can
get
I-
Jess on it.
I don't get asked on it very often, but and I'm
Because you're never
starting,
available.
I'm starting to think there's a reason for that. But where can we find
jealousy.
you?
You can find me at the Gooner Talk TV or at T Canton 94.
which he avoids because he's locked.
I don't use that.
Have you not locked retweets on it, haven't you?
Have I done what?
You've locked retweets on it, haven't you?
Oh, it's because of my job, guys.
Protect
It's my job.
Good job, kid.
Yeah.
I understand.
The amount of students that try to
I
find.
know.
And
Do they really?
Yeah.
And now, Jess, the pre-written thank you for you. You are beautiful. You're fun. You came up with this idea, so
Is this still
thank
my
you.
intro?
How can we find you, and what happens when we follow you? I mean, like down the street later.
Straight Hector to box.
You can find me at Gooners Girl 008 or my less
Well known.
heavy account at Jess Gooner.
You have two personalities
I do.
on Twitter. I mean.
Interesting.
One is just to keep it 100, and the other is to be able to hang out with my friends and not argue with strangers over social media.
Impossible.
Well, thank you for taking care of the ins
also,
and outs of
thank
this
you very
program.
much to
That
Cristiano
was
and
my
everyone
next
here at O'Hanlon's. Also, you can always follow Arsenal NYC as we are the New York team, New York group.
Supporters Club.
Oh
The New
my
York Supporters
God.
Club, Arsenal
That's what it's called.
NYC.
Yes.
Mike is better at this than I am, and I'm going to let the microphone go.
I don't know that I'm better at anything than anybody, but thank you, Jess. Thank you, Cristiano, and
G
and to
for
O'Hanlon.
lasting
To
this
G.
long. She's still here.
We have one
Amazing.
fan remaining at the pub, and she is technically somewhat connected to Mr. Canton.
Somewhat.
Um,
Somewhat connected.
we'll see whether that continues after tonight. So, excellent. Thank you guys for joining us. We will be back with a traditional Andy and I podcast
Can't
after
fucking wait.
at some point. I know how much you look
Andy
forward to it.
shenanigans with his kids running around in the background. He just fucking loses control. It's brilliant.
It's great. I
You
mean,
gotta love
we caught lightning in a bottle with
You
this
really
thing, I
did.
think. Thank you for joining us today. Congratulations to Arsenal for a 2-0 win against Napoli, a very, very sorely needed one. And come on, you Gooners.